Second City TV. How did you get involved in that? Great Canadian skit show.
Yeah. Well, David was Canadian, so David knew somebody. I think he knew their producer or something, and got the connection there because we did that in Edmonton when it was still when they were filming up there, and although none of them were really Canadian, John Candy wasn't Canadian, Rick Moranis is not Canadian, I don't believe. We actually had a great time with John Candy. I may be wrong, but I didn't think he was.
I'm Canadian.
That's too bad. That's really too bad. We don't go to Canada.
I know. We'll talk to you about that after.
We never go to Canada.
Okay, so you came from you did a big festival in Europe this year with Now what was odd, the Tubes is in this festival with like Motorhead, Tony Iommi and Geezer Butler of Heaven and Hell and Ronnie James Dio, all these heavy bands. Did you guys turn up the guitars and the drums or what?
We did. We tailored the set. We played all rock, non-stop, up-tempo rock and roll for the entire set. I mean, I don't know why we were on that show. There was a lot of other bands. Journey was on that show.
The thunder metal god Thor from Canada.
Thor. Did you see? You know who Thor is?
We've worked with Thor.
Muscle-bound guy with the big hammer.
From vinyl. He's.
Yeah. We didn't play on the same day as Thor. They're from Canada. Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know Thor was from Canada. They really sucked. Unbelievable. That's why we don't go to Canada. April Wine was from Canada. Remember April Wine?
I remember April Wine.
Oh, they really sucked. They were awful. That festival had a lot of really good bands there, but they had so many cliche Swedish. Heavy metal is huge in Sweden, which I don't understand really. I really don't get it, because I thought they were a little more intelligent for a Scandinavian country than that. But then again, Norway is where death metal started, so I guess they dig it because there was a lot of Swedish heavy metal bands. We saw a band the day we only were there one day. It was a 4-day thing. We played Thursday, the first day, and we played on a stage with Over the Rainbow, and then us, and then we went to watch other bands, and we saw this Swedish band called Hammerfall. You ever heard of Hammerfall? Yeah. Oh, unbelievably bad, horrible, just the most cliche. Oh, it was unreal. And they had fire, and they had bombs, and they had hair, and they flopped their hair, and they did the guitar thing together, and it was unreal. It was so bad. And then we saw the headliner for that night was on the big stage, the 50,000 seat stage, was Twisted Sister, and which was amazing because I've known Dee for years and years and years, and in the USA, they can't sell 150 tickets, but they go to Sweden and they are big time. And there was 40,000 people there going crazy. They played "Stay Hungry" in order for the 25th year anniversary. It was classic, and they're pretty good. I mean, I like them, and because they're flashy, they know it's all pretense and hokey. And Dee wears this garish makeup and the feathers and the. Oh, it was classic. It was really funny. It was really a fun day.
As far as over the past, you've had a lot of opening bands for you. One of them was Nash the Slash, also from Canada. Yeah. Comments, please.
Okay, we love Nash the Slash. I love him. He was really clever. Clever guy, interesting songs. Once again, a guy who didn't just stand there. He wrapped his head in gauze, and he had a bit. He had a gimmick. I liked him. I liked Nash the Slash. That's a good question. I don't know what Nash thinks of us anymore. Somebody said, we haven't talked to him for years and years and years, but somebody said they saw him not too long ago and that he was still playing and still doing the Invisible Man thing, and he was still good. You've seen him?
That was us. Yeah, we've worked with Nash. We've done shows for him and interviews with him and videos.
Yeah. We've done a lot of shows with him over the years. He was great. I mean, really, the only other band, April Wine, was the only Canadian band I think we ever played with that I can remember, and they were just and this was back in the 80s, and they had white pants and bell bottoms and big bell sleeves, and they had the hokey fire the red lights on the amps that would spin around on the one. Oh God, it was just classic.
Yeah, Bryan Adams is from Canada, and
Okay,
you know,
there's another exception. Bryan Adams is great. I love Bryan Adams, and I love his music. And David Foster was from Canada. I mean, the guy's brilliant. He's the best producer I ever worked with. So it's not. The reason we don't go to Canada has nothing to do with its artists. It's with the production and the every time we go there, we get screwed by some promoter who, you know, the festival gets dumped and all the bands get screwed, and the next day, you know, you show up for the gig and everybody's gone. So it's happened like 4 times. But anyways,
White Punks on Dope was basically a hit in the UK, wasn't a hit in the US. Then when you got involved with David Foster, your success picked up in the North America, if you will, and not so much the UK anymore. That any thoughts about that?
Well, I don't know if that's true or not. I mean, actually, Talk to You Later was #1 in about 50 countries. I'm sure it was #1 in the UK. They didn't like She's a Beauty as much because they thought it was too poppy and too kind of, you know, pop oriented. Although, which is hypocritical because that's what they love. They love those horrible pop singers, but England, you can't. You know, England is a country unto itself. They love nothing better than to build you up and then chop you down to little bitty pieces. That's what they do. That's their style. That's what the press loves to do. And we were darlings in England for, you know, when we were nobodies and doing big productions. And then as soon as we got to be popular, then they wanted to slit our throat. So, you know, what are you going to do?
A baby's arm holding an apple!
I don't know why What Do You Want From Life didn't work. They, you know, when they released that song, they cut out all the part at the end. You know, if you're an American citizen, you are entitled to a heated condition pool, a microwave oven, blah, blah, blah. All that whole thing, they cut it out. And they just it kind of just faded out. What do you want from life? What do you want from life? And then it faded out. And we went, well, that was what made it interesting. And they went, oh no, it's a novelty. They'll think you're a novelty band. And so, yeah, that song stiffed. And White Punks on Dope, you couldn't say dope on the radio in '75, so they couldn't release that. In fact, the first album had a sticker on it that said, the lyrics to this album contain the word dope.